Hey guys, Vass here from Aussie RC Playground and welcome to another episode of RC Pit Stop. Today we are going to be replacing these optional Vaterra drive shafts for some MIPs for the rear of my Vaterra Halix. I recently did a video with these guys and you probably saw that they did not last very long. If you haven't seen that video, I will have a link in the description for you guys to check out. Just click on it and it'll take you straight there. So these optional Vaterra drive shafts, and I say optional because quite honestly these cannot be classified as upgrades. They are absolutely hopeless. I would actually say that the plastic ones that the truck comes with are actually better than this, and I'm a little bit peeved with both Horizon and Vaterra because I have tried to contact them and we've come to no resolve. I'm yet to hear from an actual human. I've only had some automated emails sent to me saying that my issue has been forwarded to some department and someone will get back to me. I also contacted Vaterra via Facebook Messenger, and I did have someone get back to me, but they just basically handballed the whole situation to Horizon Hobby. So unfortunately, I don't have too much positive things to say both from Vaterra and Horizon, which is quite disappointing. However, I still like this truck. I know that a lot of you, well not a lot, but a few people actually question my logic in the review as to why I like this truck if I'm having so many problems with these drive shafts. Well, I can't blame the truck for these particular drive shafts because these are optional. They do not come with the truck. So for me, I'm not blaming the truck for these. I'm blaming either Horizon and or Vaterra. So that's the ones that are at fault. But aside from that, the whole purpose of this video, and we're going to get back on track here, the whole purpose of this video is to really show you the pain that's involved in swapping out these shafts. And I guess in a way I'm just sharing my frustration with you because you know, I could easily do this in my own private time, but I do want to show you how to do it. If you do own one of these trucks, this is the thing that you have to go through in order to swap out for some MIPs. So here I've got a fresh packet of MIP drive shafts that are going to go in the rear. I'm not going to show you really how to put these together. They're very easy to do. Anybody that can sort of read the instructions will figure it out. There's nothing complicated about this. So we'll just go ahead and start pulling this apart, and you can see that I've sort of jumped ahead a little bit. I've disconnected my links. Both these rear links, you need to disconnect them. I've removed both my shocks, rear shocks are gone, and I've also taken out the rear bumper as well. Now there's also a couple of screws. There's 4 screws under here that you're going to need to take out, and there's also a metal brace on the front here, which is this guy right here that goes on the bottom. You'll need to take that out, and of course, you know, your hex adapters and stuff that was on the original drive shaft, so you need to take them out. So we can just pull these shafts out just very quickly. So I've taken the screws out of the shock tower. You need to take this shock tower off. So this just pulls out from the front very easily. You can see these links come with it. And now to remove the diff, because I've removed my 4 screws from underneath the chassis here, I can just put a little pressure down and you can see the whole diff, this casing will actually come off and the diff will come with it. Very, very easy. So we don't need the truck anymore. The truck can sort of go off to the side, and this is what we're going to be working with. Take the casing off. That's what we need to pull apart. So basically, the way that Traxxas do their drive shafts is on their diffs, there's a little metal shaft that sort of sticks out on either side, and then the shaft connects to it. Can you see a little screw sort of going through the actual shaft there? So that will actually connect and bolt through the little metal shaft that sticks out of the diffs. That's in the Traxxas, so it makes it very easy to remove or replace your drive shafts. Okay, Vaterra have done, I suppose it's a little bit like a, how do I put this? It's probably a stronger design, but it is by no means practical because these are actually connected inside the diff. So for me to take these out and replace them with my trusty MIP ones, I got to disassemble this whole diff. So these 4 screws have got to come out. The diff has actually got a little bit of oil in it, and yeah, when you pull this out, it's going to be a big mess. I have to clean it all out, and then I'll be able to put the MIPs in, put some fresh oil in there, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to fast forward this bit because it's kind of messy, and yeah, there's really not a lot to look at. It's pretty self-explanatory really. You got to open it and clean it. Okay, so very quickly I'm going to show you what the diff looks like when you open it up, just so you guys know what to expect. I've taken out my 4 screws, and you just basically lift this up. It comes off fairly easy, and that's what the inside of the diff looks like. But this is only a cover. You actually have to remove this as well. Now you can see here there's a little rubber seal. Be very mindful not to clean this with any chemicals. Just give it a bit of a wipe with a clean rag or something like that, and put it somewhere safe. Don't stress it. Don't make it any bigger than it needs to be, because otherwise it's not going to seal up properly. Take it from me, because I've learned the hard way. So now I have to take out this casing, empty out all the grease and oil that's in here, and yeah, get to the bottom of the diff and pull that one out. Alright guys, so I've got everything cleaned out. All my gears are all been stripped of any grease or anything like that. Everything's been cleaned. My MIP drive shafts are assembled and they're ready to go. I've already taken a little bit of a step ahead here. I've mounted this one. It's pretty straightforward really. You just basically poke the shaft through, put a little pin going across there like you can see, and that's it. That one's done. All right, very easy. This is going to be the last piece that we're going to be mounting to the diff, so we'll pop that aside. We'll grab the casing here. We're going to start assembling this one. This is a very tricky one to do. First thing is we have to put our shaft through here, so we need to mount that in there like so. Now there is a pin as well that needs to go in there, and it's very hard to get this tiny little pin to go through the rod that's in there at the moment. So what I do is I use my needle nose pliers here, and I kind of line up the hole and then go in and try to get it. There we go, nice and easy. And there we are, that one is inside there. Next piece to go in is one of these plastic ones. Doesn't really matter which way they go, but it only really fits one way. So whoops, let me see if I can get this in here. All right, push it all the way to the bottom. Let's make sure that's all the way down to the bottom there like so. Then we need one of these very thin washers, and you just need to pop that in. It will center itself, you don't have to stress. It kind of centers itself with these corners that are kind of protruding into the diff, and yeah, it'll sit in there nice and easy. Then finally we put our gear. This big one here needs to go in there and meet up with that rod. So do the best you can to get it in, and there we are. Actually, that went in pretty easy, so that was lucky. So it should sit kind of flush with the rod that's sticking out there, okay, with that shaft. Now we move on to the next tricky part of this assembly. We grab one of these, it doesn't matter which one it is. All right, you've got 2 of them inside the diff, and they basically need to cross each other and sort of meet each other inside the diff like so. Okay, there's a couple of flat spots, which I'm hoping you can see, and they just sort of meet each other like so. So we need, on one of these, we need 2 of these smaller gears, all right, and they face each other. So one goes in this way, the other one goes in that way. Then we need these plates. We need one of these plates on either end. And then, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You just basically slide this guy in. Now when you slide it in, try to have that first rod with the flat spot facing upwards, okay? So we're gonna try, and this is where it gets really tedious. We slide that in there like so, goes all the way to the bottom. All right, make sure that that rod is facing up, or with the flat spot facing up. All right. Hopefully you can see that, and that's one of them. Okay, all done. Now we do the same with the other one, and we try to slide this in somehow. This is where it really does get a little bit tricky to do this, especially on camera, because you know I get all nervous and stuff. Here we go. It's now wobble wobble, and it's in. And we're done. Look at that. It's assembled. Right? This is a tedious job, guys. It's not that it's incredibly difficult. It's just, it's annoying to have to do this just to swap out drive shafts. So now we do everything backwards like we did at the bottom. So at the bottom we had this guy go in last. This guy now needs to go in first. And then we need to put the washer on. And then the plastic piece goes over the top. But before I do that, I'm actually going to fill this up with some oil. So I've got 100,000 weight oil here, and hopefully if I can get this guy to come all the way down. Okay, so now I've got my oil in there. All right, just working it into the gears there, and that's probably just enough. I don't need to overfill it because then it just makes a great big mess. So now I've assembled everything. I've got my gear in there, I've got my washer in between, plastic piece goes over the top, and you just seal the whole thing up just like that. Work my gears up a little bit, make sure it's all locked into place, and there we go. All right, so I didn't put excess oil, so it's not spilling out everywhere. There's just enough in there to do what I need it to do. And now finally, well, not finally, there is one more thing that we cannot forget, and that's our little gasket, little rubber gasket. We're going to put this guy back on. So just very gently put him back. Okay, so that's done. And now the final piece is going to be this guy. And you need to be very careful here because you need to line up your holes for your screws. Okay, so once that's done, you can then start putting your screws back on. Now what I recommend doing when you're putting your screws back on, just kind of thread them into place first. Don't thread them all the way to the bottom. Just kind of screw them into place, and then in a sort of like a crisscross pattern, slowly work them and tighten them down, just so that you have a nice even seal on the gasket as well. At least that's the way I've been doing it, and it's been working fine by doing it that way. If you want to do it a different way, then that's up to you. So we'll pop this guy in here. This is our last one. So you can see I'm coming up to the end here. What I normally do, as soon as it touches, I let go. I move to the one on the opposite side, screw it down, and as soon as that screw kind of touches the diff casing, I let go. I move on to the next one, and I keep going like so. And then every time I touch one of these, or I go to tighten them, I just tighten them just that little bit more, and move on to the one on the opposite end, tighten that a little bit more, move on to that one, tighten that a little bit more, move to the opposite one, and so on. Okay, so that's our drive shafts pretty much swapped over. Now it's just a matter of putting everything back into the truck, reassembling it, and we're ready to go. I'll come back very quickly with the finished product, and we'll finish up this episode. Okay, so now I've got my shock tower and rear bumper mounted up. I've got the diff back in there. Everything is working fine. I've just decided to sort of stop here and just tell you guys a couple of things. Number one, you can probably remove this casing without having to take the shock tower out. I took it out for a couple of reasons. Number one, it does make it for slightly easier access. You have less things to get in the way, and also for the purpose of the video as well. It just, you know, it's a cleaner look. The other thing to remember is inside your MIP package, there are a couple of little rings. Right, they look like washers. Now what these are for, these are designed to go between your bearings in your axle carriers here, okay? Your hub carriers, whatever it is that you want to call them. Take the opportunity as well to clean out your bearings if this is you know, if you've been using the Halix for a while. Make sure you pop the bearings out, give them a nice clean, make sure everything's okay, they're not wearing out or anything like that. And basically you put one of the bearings back in, and then this little guy goes in between the two bearings like so, and then you slide your other bearing over the top of it, just like so. And now you can actually put your shaft in, just like that, and slide that in to the other half, if I can get it to do what it's supposed to do here, and it's in. There we go. Okay, so now that is one complete shaft, and I'll just finish up the links, do the same on the other side, and come back and finish this off for you. And there we have it, guys, the finished product. We now have a Vaterra Halix with MIP drive shafts on the front as well as on the rear. This guy is ready for another epic bash session over at the BMX track on 3S. And yes, I will be uploading another video showing you how these MIPs hold up and how the truck holds up as a whole, because the biggest weakness has been these drive shafts, and now that I've sorted this out, am I going to have any other problems? So I guess time will tell. So I will get another bash session out there on 3S, and I will upload that to you as soon as weather allows, and as soon as I have the time, of course. But for now, I'll finish this episode here, guys. Please be sure to check out the video description for more links on this truck, as well as a link to my Facebook page, which will keep you a couple of steps ahead of what goes on here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.